James Lutton, delighted to be joined on Zoom today with Shannon O'Connell. Shannon, how are we doing?
I'm great. Awesome.
Good stuff. Thanks for joining me again today. First of all, let's just talk about your previous fight over in a flesh. Sarah Higginson, a few weeks back now, first round stoppage. What was it like to get back in the ring and just shake off a bit of a ring rust there?
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, obviously, a lot of experience difference. But for me, I've just come back from two major shoulder surgeries, so it was huge for me to just go through all of it. I guess a lot of people just think, oh yeah, surgery, she's all right. But I literally had to I couldn't lift my arm. I couldn't. I had to, even to drive, I'd have to sort of put my hand on the wheel and steer, and yeah, I couldn't. I lost everything in my arm, so it was massive for me to just get back in there. And I mean, we did try for a couple of other fights, but she was the only one that was willing and keen to take it.
What's that like? Obviously, coming through a full camp and then obviously a fight as well after such a surgery and after such an injury.
It was a bit inflamed afterwards, but we've got it under control now. So it's been 2 weeks. I'm ready to get back into training. I think, and I sort of thought, well, that was not even a round. Like, how's it going to go after 10 rounds? But I saw my surgeon today, and he pretty much said it was just what I did. It wasn't how long it went for. So it would have been a different outcome if the fight went full distance.
So there's no issues with it. Brilliant. So no issues, no follow-on issues from it, and obviously all good and confident using it in the future.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, once I retire, I'll need a replacement, but I'm hoping that I can just keep going for as long as I possibly can until it's going to fall off.
Absolutely. I mean, you mentioned there sort of you hope to go on as long as you can, etc. What is your goal? Have you got a plan in mind? How long do you feel you'll be going on for?
Well, to be honest, like, early last year, I sort of said, "Oh yeah, I've got 3 or 4 fights left in me." Now I'm more hoping I've got 3 or 4 years left in me. I feel I'm fit, I'm strong, I'm good in the head. Like, I don't. I mean, about as bad as I do is eat McDonald's after a fight. I don't go out and drink and party and stuff. I've got 3 kids, so I feel healthy and fresh, and I feel like I'm going through a whole new stage of learning with boxing. Like, it's been awesome. So I'm not ready to give it up now. I've joined a new team, and it's almost like I'm just really seeing the really professional side of professional boxing after all these years.
What's that like? Do you feel like you've missed out on opportunities earlier in your career? Now you're seeing this new mindset now?
Um, to be honest, I think everything happens for a reason, and the timing was perfect. Like, obviously, if I had joined Team Zoo 5 years ago, I might have been doing different things by now. But I don't know that I was ready then, and I wouldn't have been as willing and open to the whole new concept of it all. Whereas I think now I'm just so happy to be part of it. I think the timing was perfect.
And obviously, you are very highly ranked as well. You've not been vocal as such about a certain fight you want, but now you feel like you want to sort of get to that stage where the fight you want is Ebanie Bridges, and you want to make it known.
Yeah, well, I mean, we weren't overly vocal about it in the lead up, because I mean, I'm with No Limit as the No Limit Boxing as my promotional company here, and they were already trying to make me the mandatory before Ebony. Like, they'd just taken over, but obviously I was sort of going through rehab and everything there, so they couldn't have pushed too hard. But they were in the process of making me the mandatory for the winner of that fight, whether it was Ebony or Roman. And things happen. Obviously, we've just sort of only in the last week really got the sort of blow, like the blow of her because she won the title, and there was no set rules in place for the women, that it's going to go by 12 months of when she won the title. So I am her mandatory, but she won't be forced to fight me until March next year. I mean, and that's if she wins. Like, if she loses, then there's a new mandatory date for whoever the new champ is. So I just need someone to hold that belt for 12 months.
How frustrating is that for you?
Oh, it's super frustrating because, I mean, yeah, she's got the option to fight me. She could have a mandatory defense now and get it out the way, but she just doesn't want to fight me. And that is frustrating for me because I'm a true fighter, and I wouldn't feel like I'm the best unless I fought the people that are knocking on my door. Like, I mean, I saw in I can't remember what it was. It was an interview with someone, but it was her comparing herself to George Kambosos. I'm like, no, love, because George won and he straight up defended it against the best that was out there. Yeah, he lost, but he wanted to, he believed he could win and he wanted to test himself. She obviously does not believe in herself that much. She just wants to hold on to that belt.
Do you feel she's avoiding and ducking you?
Absolutely. Like, she says that I'm not her mandatory, but I am. She says I've got nothing to offer, and that she's only going to go forward, not backwards. But when you're the champ and you're having a voluntary defense, how do you go forward without fighting someone? I mean, really, then the only rankings you can look at is BoxRec, and she's, I think, number 12. So there's 11 girls ahead of her, and 3 of them are champions. So there's only 8 of us, and I'm the number 1 there because I'm the third. I'm third on BoxRec, and the top, I think the top 4, 3 of them are champions. So I don't see how her saying that I'm not, I'm behind her, and I'm below and I'm not worthy. Like, how?
I mean, in terms of this fight, obviously, it's not often you would get 2 women who one's world champion, one's number 1 contender, mandatory challenger, and both from Australia as well. And just how big would this fight be for your country?
Oh, it would be massive. I mean, I think not only is obviously the title's going to stay in Australia, which is huge, like that's a bonus. But not only that, like, I think for me, it's a massive fight for women's boxing, for a champion to fight someone that's, I mean, we're seeing it again, like, slowly, but a lot of them aren't doing it. And she wants to compare herself to the people like Mayer and Shields and all that. Then I fight your mandatory, voluntary.
Could it be, another case of, for example, Choi, who hasn't fought a mandatory in however long it's been, a game around the houses to essentially swerve people who deserve that shot?
Look, I like Choi. I've actually fought Choi, but then she was a featherweight then, and I'm a bantamweight. So her fights have been massively cherry picked. She never, and I mean, I had a close fight with her, but even when I was training to fight, and this was 5-6 years, I think it was even more, maybe 8 years ago. But when I noticed when I was fighting her that she never really fought the people in her division. She fought other people like that. She's it's not fair. She should. I believe if she doesn't step up and fight these girls, then she should be stripped, and so should any champion.
Just
Like,
oh, go on.
one thing, like, you can chase and chase and chase, but when you're the champ, then that's when it becomes okay. You have to fight to stay relevant.
Absolutely. Just the last one on Ebanie. Have you got a message for Ebanie if she's watching this?
Well, I don't know if I doubt that she'll watch it. She's got me blocked on all social media. But to be honest, like, the girl's trash. She's a blow-in. Like, she's going to be short-lived. Like, she's not true to the sport. I know that when she first started, she used to idolize me and look up to me, and now she's pretending like she doesn't know my name. Like, grow some and fight. Let's fight. It'll be a massive fight. It'll be it's main event worthy. It's huge. So I just don't see why it can't happen. We clearly don't like each other, so that makes for better selling.
Absolutely. Let's move on to a couple of other big fights that are coming up. We mentioned the best fight and the best in women's boxing. Claressa Shields, Savannah Marshall coming up in September. Talk to me a bit about how do you see that going? Break it down. Give me a prediction on that.
I don't know. That's like, I'm a massive fence sitter. Hey, like, I really like Savannah Marshall, and I would like her to win, but I don't know. Like, I feel like you can't just keep bringing up one win that you had in the amateurs. It doesn't mean a lot. I mean, obviously, Shields hasn't had many losses, so to them it means something, and there's a little bit of hate there. But I would like for her to win because she's sort of the nicer, quiet girl. But Claressa Shields is something special, so I'm a real fence sitter. I'm sort of like, women's boxing wins for that one. Like, to me, these fights, like the Mayer fight, the Shields fight, even me and Ebanie, they're good for boxing, not just women's boxing. They're good boxing fights.
Absolutely. You mentioned obviously the win that Savannah had over Claressa as an amateur was 10 years ago. It is the only loss on Clarissa Shields' record, amateur and pro. The only person to ever beat her is
I
Marshall.
didn't, so I guess that would hurt.
So
Like, I mean, I'm not the same boxer that I was 10 years ago. It's pro boxing compared to amateur boxing. 10 years ago, the amateurs was very different to what it is now. It's sort of, I guess, more similar now, with the way they score. But pro and amateur boxing, they're just not the same. It's like indoor and outdoor soccer. It's not the same sport.
absolutely. And the last question for me, you mentioned obviously, the fights like Shields Marshall, the Maya Baumgardner, yourself and Ebanie Bridges, they'd be good for boxing in total, not just women's boxing. Just how, in your time alone in your career, have you seen the progression in the women's side of it? And do you feel it is now gradually becoming boxing rather than women's boxing?
Absolutely. In some parts of it, like, I mean, you've got Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, like those fights, and the Shields and Marshall fight and the Mayer fight, like they're all boxing, but then you've still got these sort of crappy little ones that are going on. But in saying that, you get that with the men's as well. So, but we do. There's some names. There's some. Like, it'd be nice. It'd be good if there was more names. Like, we're always sort of seeing the same names. So, but it's 100%. Like, when I first started amateur boxing, like, I moved states in Australia because there was only 2 registered female boxers in the state that I lived in. Like, that's how much, like, it's bigger now. We're winning medals and things like that. So it's definitely progressed.
Do you think promoters could do more to push and elevate women's boxing?
I feel like they're doing a bit, but I mean, at the end of the day, we're still in a sort of like a spot now where women are always putting on great fights. Like, the amount of times that I've been told I was fight of the night, and that's awesome. But everyone's always happy I'm on the card, but are they buying tickets because I'm on the card? Like, Ebanie in her fight with on the undercard of Josh Warrington sold out that stadium. Yeah, they were happy to see Ebanie fight too, but he sold out that stadium, not her. And it's the same. Like, if I was on, say, Tim Zoo's undercard, everyone's over the moon to see me fight on the undercard, but they're buying the tickets to see Tim. So that's just sort of where, I guess, that little bit of a gap that we still need to close.
Absolutely. Well, Shannon, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. All the best, and hopefully you get that fight you're looking for.
Yes, thank you.